Welcome to the Ask the Question project. At what age were you when you first thought about suicide?
I was 16 years old. I was a junior, going to be a junior in high school.
How did you find a way to cope and connect?
I think I had good people in my life, and that makes a big difference, knowing that there's somebody who cares about you and that you matter to. And I think that I used a lot of ways to cope that people were scared of, like cutting or making myself sick. And I think that I was doing the best that I could at the time.
What did people do that helped and what was not helpful?
I think that having people who love you unconditionally, love felt a little bit conditional in my household growing up, and I really struggled with feeling worthy a lot of the time. And when I met Tony, when I was 21 years old, is when my life really changed. I was soon after pregnant with Allie, and I was able to get sober, stop having an eating disorder, deal with some of my depression and other issues that led to me feeling suicidal in the first place. And so, having these people in my life and knowing that I was loved unconditionally in the family that I was able to build was what really changed my life.
Have you ever helped someone else that needed your help?
One of the things that I do now is that I am the board secretary for Clackamas County NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. And in that role, I go into middle schools and high schools and I talk about suicide and why it's not a good option for people. And I use my own personal story to talk about why I'm so glad that I wasn't able to complete suicide and that I'm alive and that I'm here today and that there is hope for folks. It's a lot of really interesting the questions we get afterwards from kids, the disclosures we get about how they've been feeling. And we've talked from anywhere from sometimes 30 kids to sometimes 120 kids all in the same room.
What is the saddest memory you can recall?
Feeling like I had nothing to live for. I was prescribed Prozac when I was 16 years old, and 6 weeks after starting to take that medication, I tried to kill myself. And I thought that everyone would really be better off when I was gone. I thought that I was a burden, and I thought that nobody really cared about me, and that ultimately I was making a good decision by trying to end my life. And that was the worst feeling. And what I found out later was that that feeling was due to an antidepressant that I was prescribed when I was a teen that had that outcome in teenage girls, but they hadn't done the research yet to know that that was why that happened to me.
Certain emotions like shame and guilt can be hard to carry. If you struggle with those emotions, what tools have you found to help you cope with them or move on?
I'm a really big fan of Brene Brown, so I've done a lot of work reading her books like The Gifts of Imperfection and the book about courage, Daring Greatly. And so I have worked with a therapist and many professionals to help me deal with my shame and guilt and recognize it for what it is and recognize what shame feels like in the body and how normal and common of an emotion it is and that we all experience it and there's nothing wrong with feeling shame and that you can move on from it and you can just learn to live with it as a regular emotion instead of letting it bury you or keep you down.
Judgments about others happen quickly. Can you tell me something most people don't know about you, but maybe you wish they did?
I make mistakes all the time, that I struggle, that I relapse, that I fight with my husband. Like I have shit going on, just like everybody else has stuff going on. And I'm just able to do my best to show up when I'm able to show up. And I can't always show up. Sometimes I can't do it.
Do you see value in speaking openly about a painful personal experience?
Yes, I really do. So I have this history of this past of really struggling. I struggle with drug addiction. I struggle with self-injury. I struggle with being suicidal. And then I became a professional and I shut up about all of that stuff because I thought that to be a professional, I had to have it all put together and I had to like not have this shady past. And it hurt me. And what was going on was that I wasn't talking about my experiences and I was holding all these secrets. And when I started getting involved with NAMI and talking about my stuff publicly and talking to therapists, then I began to be able to like deal with what was really going on, and I didn't feel so secretive and so shut down anymore, and my life really changed for the better.
This project is a collaboration between the storytellers and the artistic team, Mike Crenshaw and Julie Keith. Editing and accessibility by Cheryl Green. Funding for the project has been provided by Artworks, Clackamas County Cultural Coalition, and Oregon Humanities. Thank you to our partners, Clackamas County and The Living Room.